Welcome back. Today we have a really exciting subject, the Sabbath and education. I'm really excited about this one because we often think of the Sabbath in just the realm of rest. It's a day of rest that God rested, He blessed and sanctified the seventh day. But how can we understand the Sabbath also as a means of education as well?
Yeah, I think one aspect is that the Sabbath is not only a memorial of God's creation, where we learn about Him through nature and His character through the things of nature, but also as you know, the Ten Commandments in Deuteronomy chapter 5 point out, it's also a memorial of His redemption. And so we can study His word, learn about the plan of redemption. And also the Sabbath commandment says that we should work 6 days, but on the seventh day, not do any of our work. But it doesn't mean we can't do God's work. And so doing God's work, reaching out to others in practical, enjoyable ways is a great way that we can learn more about Him and teach more about Him to others, especially our young people.
I love that. So the Sabbath is designed to be a blessing, and it's the best day, if you will, and it's the blessed day, and it belongs to Jesus. But I think both of us, all of us here, rather, both of you and myself, we can all relate to this next comment that I'll make, and that is there are many people, especially young people, who don't find Sabbath to be a blessing. They find it to be a burden. So how could we educate our minds to receive it as a blessing? What would you say to a young person who's struggling to see that?
It's topical because I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, there were so many laws on the Sabbath. There were so many things, that we couldn't do. One of them was swim on the Sabbath, and then we saw someone get baptised, and we said, well, we want to get baptised because it's 42 degrees in Queensland, and I want to go into the water. I was actually coaching football in London, and it was at a Jewish school, and I was talking to one of the fathers, and I was saying, I was so excited to see him because I said, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. I mean, you're a Jew, and we keep the Sabbath. And he goes, yeah, Seventh-day Adventist. Yeah, you do keep the Sabbath. We celebrate it. And it just turned my whole world around as far as how I should be dealing with the Sabbath and my children. So, I started thinking, okay, what can I do now to celebrate the Sabbath? I
love that.
So, our kids can stay up late on Friday night. That we have a special bread, we have a special grape juice, and we have, a Friday night treat, and then it's, and we're just celebrating. And then Sabbath morning coming, we've got pancakes, we've got, and it seems to be revolving around food, but a lot of things does. But, there's activities that are happening in our house, and it's not, I've got the hand on my remote ready for the final prayer so I can watch the television. It's, we don't want the Sabbath to end. And we've seen that in our kids. And I'm not saying we've got the perfect kids. I'm just saying that if we put effort into planning the Sabbath and actually turning it from keeping to celebrating, it can be a real benefit for us and our family.
That's powerful.
I love also what I heard a few years ago, how I heard it put, in that we don't keep the Sabbath, or, well, we do, but we don't keep the Sabbath necessarily in a sense, but the Sabbath keeps us. Like when we keep God's Sabbath holy, when we honor it, when we rest on it, when we do His work on it, when we remember His creative power on it, it keeps us. It keeps us close to Him. It keeps us holy. It keeps us loving Him and wanting to grow in Him.
So true, because it's really about relationship, isn't it? Sabbath's a time for relationship with God and each other.
That's right.
So I hope you are blessed by these thoughts as I am. The Sabbath is a time to celebrate God and who He is. And it's a time to remember that He keeps us. And so I want to encourage you, as you've been listening to our discussion and as you continue to study the Bible there with you, I just want to encourage you to think of ways of how you can experience more of the blessing of the Sabbath. What can you do to make it extra special in your life? Because there is a wonderful blessing that God has placed on the seventh day, and you don't want to miss it. It's like a palace in time where God brings this special time down to us every single week. I want you to enjoy it as much as we do too. God bless.